No satellite has ever photographed the center of the memory forest. But in 1998, a dead woman mailed back a map from inside it. The envelope arrived at a weather station in northern Estonia during a blackout. No return address, no stamp, only a black antler circle drawn in ash across the front. Inside was a folded sheet of birch bark, thin as old skin, covered in lines that shifted when exposed to light. The technicians assumed it was a hoax, until one of them recognized his childhood home marked on the map. Not where it stood, where it had stood in his dreams. By morning, 3 people at the station had forgotten their own names, and the forest outside had moved 6 kilometers closer. This is Black Archive File 71, the memory forest, and the first confirmed evidence of civilizations beyond reality. Officially, the memory forest does not exist. On civilian maps, the region is listed as protected wetland, abandoned logging land, or military contamination zone, depending on which decade you check. Soviet survey maps from 1962 show roads entering the area, but none leaving it. NATO thermal scans in 2004 recorded tree canopies, arranged in circular formations too mathematically perfect to be natural. But the oldest reference comes from a monastery ledger dated 1391. The monks called it Silva Memoriae, the forest that remembers you back. According to the ledger, villagers who entered during fog would return carrying memories that did not belong to them. A fisherman remembered dying in a war that would not happen for 500 years. A blind girl described towers made of bone-white glass beneath a violet sky. One boy came back speaking a language no adult understood. Then, at age 13, he walked into a mirror and vanished. For centuries, the forest was treated as superstition, until the Cold War. In 1976, Soviet geologists drilling near the border discovered something beneath the roots. Not ruins, not fossils, architecture. A staircase spiraling downward into black soil, carved from a material that resembled petrified wood but emitted radio signals in repeating intervals. Every 11 minutes, the staircase broadcast the same phrase. Not in Russian, not in any human language. But when played to test subjects during sleep, they all translated it the same way. We are still remembering the door. Within weeks, the Soviet Union established Research Installation Vesna 9 around the site. The official purpose was botanical disease control. The real purpose was entry. The first expedition consisted of 12 soldiers, 2 linguists, 1 neurologist, and a cameraman. They descended the staircase at 3:17 on February 4th, 1977. At 3:19, radio contact failed. At 3:24, the cameraman's live feed returned for exactly 9 seconds. The footage showed a city, not underground, not beneath the forest. A city standing under a sky filled with roots. Buildings stretched upward like frozen smoke. Streets curved in impossible angles. Thousands of windows glowed with pale blue light, and in every window stood a human silhouette facing the camera. Then a child's voice whispered through the radio. They built themselves from what you forgot. The expedition never came back, but 2 days later, all 12 soldiers appeared in official Soviet population records as having died in 1943. 34 years before they entered. That was the first clue. The memory forest was not hiding a lost civilization. It was connected to a place where forgotten civilizations continued existing after reality erased them. Black Archive investigators call these places after-realms. Civilizations that should have ended. Empires removed from maps, cities swallowed by war, cultures deleted so completely that only dreams remembered them. The memory forest was not a forest. It was a border checkpoint. a biological archive grown around a wound in the world. Every tree contained memory matter. Every ring inside every trunk recorded events that had been removed from history. Not metaphorically, physically. In 1989, a defecting Vesna 9 botanist smuggled out core samples from 7 trees. Under microscope, the wood grain showed moving images, a coastline with black ships, a procession of masked kings, a sun that blinked like an eye, and one image repeated across all 7 samples. A civilization of white towers standing beyond a forest of enormous silver roots. The botanist called them the people behind the green. According to his notes, they were not aliens, they were not gods, they were human, or had been. A civilization that discovered memory was not stored in the brain. It was stored in place, in rooms, in roads, in soil, in the objects we leave behind. They learned that if enough people remembered a city, the city became stable. And if everyone forgot it, it did not disappear, it sank. Below reality, into the afterrealm. The terrifying question was not how many civilizations lived there, it was how many of ours had already fallen in. In 1998, Black Archive recovered the birch bark map from the Estonian weather station. The map showed the memory forest as a circle of trees surrounding 11 impossible cities. One was labeled Orchard Prime. One bore the lunar eagle symbol of Moon Rome. One showed a rail line made of vertebrae crossing a frozen continent. The Bone Rail. The map was not showing separate worlds. It was showing connections. A hidden network beneath every erased civilization in the Black Archive. And at the center of it all was a blank space marked with one word: Motherroot. The first modern expedition entered the forest in 2003. Not through the staircase, through the trees. They followed a trail of red ribbons tied by locals to avoid getting lost. At first, the forest behaved normally. Snow, birch trunks, dead birds caught in branches. Then the team noticed the ribbons were tied ahead of them, not behind. Every marker they placed appeared on trees they had not reached yet. After 4 hours, their GPS displayed coordinates that do not exist on Earth. After 6, they found a school bus half buried in moss. Inside were 43 children sitting upright in perfect silence. Their clothes were from different decades, their faces were covered in bark. When the lead investigator touched one child's hand, she remembered being born in a city made of rain. She remembered parents she never had. She remembered dying peacefully at age 97 under a purple sun. Then she collapsed and began crying for a daughter who had never existed. This is what the memory forest does. It does not kill you first. It gives you another life, a full life, a better life, a life so complete that your real one begins to feel like the dream. That is why people do not run from the forest, they stay. The final transmission from the 2003 team came at 1941. Audio only. Wind through leaves, someone breathing. Then the lead investigator whispered, "We found the Motherroot." A pause, then, "It has our names written before we were born." Black Archive recovered one frame from her damaged body camera. It shows a colossal tree rising out of darkness, wider than a city, its roots wrapped around thousands of suspended buildings. Some ancient, some modern, some not yet built. And carved into the bark were millions of human faces. Not dead, sleeping, dreaming reality into place. The implication was catastrophic. Our world may not be the original world. It may be one of the branches. One maintained by collective memory. One kept stable only because enough people agree it exists. And beyond the memory forest are civilizations that lost that agreement. nations that vanished from history books, empires removed from language, entire species of humanity living in the dark beneath remembrance. But the worst discovery came 3 weeks later, when the families of the missing 2003 team received postcards. Each one showed a different impossible city. Each one was signed in familiar handwriting, and each one contained the same sentence. "We are safe here. Please forget us so we can remain." For years, Black Archive believed the forest was a trap. Now we know it may be a refuge, a place where erased lives continue, where abandoned worlds survive, where memory itself becomes architecture. But on May 12, 2016, every tree in a 30-mile radius bloomed overnight. Not with leaves, with photographs, thousands of them, hanging from branches like fruit. Each photograph showed Earth from orbit, but not our Earth. Some showed oceans black as ink. Some showed continents split open by roots. Some showed cities covering the poles, and one photograph showed no Earth at all, only a forest, growing in the shape of a planet. On the back was a message written in ash: "The Motherroot is waking." Since then, people across the world have reported the same dream. A forest at the edge of their childhood home. A door between two trees. A voice asking them what they are willing to forget. And somewhere inside the memory forest, beyond the mapped world, beyond the failed expeditions, beyond the sleeping faces in the bark, an impossible civilization is building roads toward us, not to invade, not to destroy, but to be remembered. And if remembering them brings their world back, what happens to ours?